Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jacob Safford, and I am the branch manager for One West Bank here in Long Beach, California. Thank you for allowing us to take this time to present for you today. I have to say, I'm very excited that we get the opportunity to be discussing identity theft with you this afternoon. Our presentation should take about 30 minutes. Today, you will hear from a specialized team of branch managers that will unravel what identity theft is in the world we live in today. It's my pleasure to introduce our guest speakers for today, Saurabh Patel, branch manager for the Huntington Beach branch, Monica Badola, branch manager for the Downey branch, Lonnie Kapakang, branch manager for the Buena Park branch, and Kayla Rocha, assistant branch manager for the Cerritos branch. I'm going to turn it over to Saurabh to kick things off. So Saurabh, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Jacob. I'll be covering next few slides discussing what identity is. I want to thank you all in advance for your participation. We are sharing great valuable information that you can use to protect yourself and the family. So start with slide number 1. Why is identity so important? Well, if you ever needed to open up a bank account, apply for benefits, travel by plane, buy a car, get married, or rent a home, you likely needed an identity card of some sort to prove that you are who you say you are. In fact, your identity is one of the most valuable assets you have. And right now, you probably have several things in your wallet that demonstrates your identity, such as driver license, credit cards, debit cards, and so on. You carry many pieces of identification with you daily. In today's meeting, we'll help you get an idea of how to safeguard your identity and what's at risk. Your identity is a valuable piece of information, and identity theft and identity fraud are fast-growing crimes. Therefore, it is important to my team that we do this kind of workshop to educate everyone we possibly can. Some people may think that identity theft is what happens when someone steals your credit card or debit card. However, identity theft is much broader than that. It can involve someone impersonating you, using your personal information to open bank accounts, withdrawing money from your accounts, or even taking out loans in your name. I've been doing this for almost 20 years in the banking, and I've seen it all. In today's workshop, you will learn about the many ways that your identity might be at risk, how thieves gain access to your personal data, how you can protect your identity, and what to do if you've been victimized by identity thief. Identity theft is more common than most people know. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, nearly 17.6 million people were victims of identity theft in 2014. You can imagine what that number is now. So whether you've experienced it or have taken or known someone who has been victim of identity theft, you can take steps to protect your own identity and report cases of theft. The first step in understanding identity fraud and theft is to understand the many ways we validate or prove our identities. Your identity isn't limited to the information on your driver license or credit cards. It's much more complex. You must be wondering, what else makes up our identity? Identifying information is any documentation that is used to distinguishing or identifying you. For this instruction, we are grouping identifying information into 4 main areas. First one is biographical. Second one is medical. Third one is biometric. And the fourth one is financial. Biographical information includes your name, place of birth, age, and so on. Medical information includes things such as health records, blood type, or prescription. Biometric data are physical characteristics like your fingerprints, retinal images, voice recognition, or signature, and facial geometry, which can be scanned by computers to confirm your identity. If you have one of the latest smartphones, you are already using some of the biometric IDs. Finally, financial information includes bank accounts and payroll information. Many people don't realize how much of their information is actually out there. Identity thieves can impersonate you just by knowing your name and address, or they can gain access to your credit cards or bank accounts using more sophisticated tools. Depending on the types of information you share on social media, they can even guess your password or your answer to security questions. Okay? Now I'd like to pass it to Monica to discuss different types of crimes and how you can protect yourself. Monica, take it away.
Thank you, Sarab. All right, so let's examine the differences between the two types of crimes and how we put ourselves at risk. So we have identity theft and identity fraud. So these are terms used to refer all types of crimes in which someone wrongfully obtains and uses another person's personal data in some way. Identity fraud occurs when someone's personal information is used to access money, while identity theft is when personal information is accessed, even if it isn't used for financial gain. You're probably wondering who's at risk. Well, it can happen to anyone, but some people are more at risk than others. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, men and women are equal targets for identity theft. Age can affect the chances of victimization, and a household income with $75,000 or higher are at greater risk. So let's find out what information is at risk from identity fraud. Important information such as your social security number, your driver's license, your passport, your passwords, your credit report, marriage or divorce records, tax documents, bank account information, even your email account. They can all be misused. Let's find out how identity thieves steal your identity and commit fraud with these items. So here you see some common methods identity thieves use and their techniques to steal your identity. So for example, losing a cell phone can open us up to various types of data breaches. If thieves can view your email or your messages, they could find out your full name, they can find out your birthday, your relationship status, and whether you have any children. They may also have access to other useful information, such as your home or your work address, or information about your employer and even your customers. If you use mobile banking, chances are they could find out who you bank with and can find more sophisticated methods to gain access to your account. So let's learn more how thieves can access your data by physically taking your property, such as your cell phone, your wallet, your checkbook, or any electronic devices. So many identity thieves, they associate with scams that use technology of sophisticated digital tools. However, identity theft can also occur in non-technological ways. One low-tech scenario is stealing discarded bills. They can impersonate you to commit other crimes, such as open credit cards or take out loans in your name. Another method is dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is when someone goes through your trash or your recycling looking for discarded bills, pre-approved credit card offers, or documents that contain personally identifiable information about yourself, which is why it's important to make sure you completely shred any sensitive documents before tossing them out. A couple tips when choosing a shredder. It's important to keep this in mind. Choose a cross-cut shredder over a strip-cut one, because that makes it more difficult for the thieves to piece documents back together. Let's learn more about another common method, shoulder surfing. It's when thieves peek over your shoulder to record you entering sensitive information, such as credit card numbers or any passwords you may have, or a PIN number such as your ATM or your debit PIN number that most of us use every day, which is important that you always are aware of your surroundings and that you cover your phone screen or an ATM keypad when entering such information. Identity thieves can also gain access to your information by stealing your mail out of your mailbox. Another way the thieves can steal your mail is by rerouting it by simply logging onto the U.S. Postal Service website and filling out the online form to change your address. Once the mail is redirected to an address by the theft, he or she can sort through your mail looking for valuable information. More sophisticated thieves may use technological methods to access your data, and the most common method is known as phishing. Some of you may have received a phishing email. For example, an email that appears to be from your bank but isn't. Phishing is when a scammer uses fraudulent emails or email texts or copycat websites to get you to share valuable information. Once they have your personal information, what do you think he or she can do with it? Well, let's talk about it. Identity thieves can use your personal information by making purchases and opening accounts. They may use your information to open accounts with credit card companies and often use stolen personal information in several ways. For example, they can open an account at financial institutions, at a cable company. They can also open accounts at a telephone company, such as Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile. They can get you your utility bill under your name, and they can even take advantage of your public benefits. Identity thieves may also use your information to take transactions on your existing accounts. They may use the card or account itself to make purchases and rack up debt. In some cases, thieves may commit fraud by using your personal information to engage in criminal activities. For example, they can present your identity as their own to the police if they are caught doing something illegal, even to commit cybercrime. Let's learn more about other ways identity thieves try to use your personal financial information. They often steal your medical information. Thieves can get prescriptions, they could visit medical professionals, or receive expensive treatment. This type of theft has a financial cost, but can also affect your medical history. So always double check the source when anyone asks you for any information linked to your financial and your personal identity. We'll get into some tips on prevention and protection. But first, let's take a look at these types of scams and what they look like and what the consequences are. When someone steals your identity to impersonate you, and they open accounts, they take out loans, or rack up debt, you can suffer a long-lasting consequences. Recovering can be a process. It can cost you time, it can cost you money, and your reputation. Once your identity is stolen, depending on how many accounts and services you have, you'll need to contact each bank, you'll have to change each password, and notify all your credit card companies. This process may take a day, or unfortunately could last for years, depending on how complex the identity theft was. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, victims of identity theft have lost an average of $1,343. Many victims are compensated for their losses, but the same report found that while some victims spent as little as $1 in out-of-pocket expenses, others spent more than $1,000. These numbers were reported in 2012 and 2014, so you can only imagine what these numbers are today. Once your identity is stolen, thieves may use this in ways that can negatively affect your credit score and your financial reputation with these businesses. Victims have reported emotional after effects such as being angry and resentful. Victims have also reported mistrust in organizations and people who request information from them. I hope what I shared with you all today was helpful and you learned something. Thank you all for having me. Now I'd like to turn it over to Lonnie, who will talk more about common scams. Over to you, Lonnie.
Thank you, Monica. So I'm going to start by covering some common scams. Let me share some of them with you. Let's begin with phishing, which we talked about earlier. It's a scam where a thief pretends to be a legitimate company and tries to collect your personal information. Whenever you receive an email or a text message asking you to click on a link to reset your password, update your credit card information, enter your social security number or other personal information, there are a few steps you can take to ensure the email is authentic. So here are 5 steps to help you. 1, in the case of emails, check the email address that it was sent from. Does it match the email address used by the company or bank that it is supposedly from? Look for subtle differences in spelling, email address providers, or individual names. For example, if it's from a financial institution, make sure the email address is something like johndoe@acmebank.com and not johndoe@amcebank.com. What a difference it makes from just changing the order of 2 letters around, what that can do. It definitely can be very deceiving and almost look legitimate. Be cautious of emails being sent to you from a personal address that should be reflecting the bank name instead. Using this same example would be johndoe@gmail.com. For the second step, check the language used. How is the message addressed to you? For example, an email from a trusted financial institution would more likely address you by your name and not dear member or valued client. Is the language what you would expect from the sender, or is it overly formal or too general? Is the message itself written poorly? Are there spelling errors and grammatical mistakes? Third, check the content of the message. If it's from a sender you allegedly know, is the person asking for something unusual, such as a large sum of money to be wired, or wanting to share a large lottery or a financial windfall? Or is the person asking for personal information urgently? Fourth, check before you click to open any attachments. Ask yourself if you are expecting any attachments from the sender, and examine the link name and the file extension carefully, as it could contain malware. If there is any doubt about the legitimacy of the email, do not open any attachments. And fifth, if you have any doubt, contact your financial institution directly to ask about the possible phishing email. Taking this time can prevent a lot of future pain for you and others. So here is an example of a phishing email scam. So many scammers also operate over the phone. In these scenarios, scammers will call up a victim and try to collect personal information, usually financial information, by using a pretext, such as telling you they need you to claim a prize. Watch out for telltale signs that the caller is trying to gain information about your identity. Listen for content. Do they talk about winning a lottery, sweepstakes, or contest that you never even entered? Do they ask you to buy something to increase your chances? Or do they offer a too good to be true prize? In these types of calls, the scammers want you to get your credit card information or other financial information as quickly as possible. Listen for urgency. Do they pressure you to make a decision now, or offer to dramatically drop fees such as shipping and handling if you order immediately? These comments could be signs of a scam. Listen to what they ask for. Do they ask you for your whole social security number of the phone or asking you to confirm it? Do they ask you to wire or otherwise transfer cash to them in some way? Most phone scammers are strangers who don't know the victim. However, some scam artists may be acquaintances, friends, or even family. So let's learn more. Knowing how to spot a scam is an important skill. You can find out more details about scams and red flags at identitytheft.gov. Now let's discuss a few special kinds of identity theft. Identity thieves target victims based on their available financial data and the ability to exploit it. In this section, we'll look at some types of identity theft that you should be aware of. Now I would like to go over 3 types of identity theft. The first is child identity theft. Children are a growing target population among identity thieves. Children's personal information, such as their names, home addresses, or social security numbers, may be used by thieves to open up accounts, apply for and use credit cards, or apply for social benefits. The next one is medical identity theft. Did you know that medical identity theft may occur when a thief uses your medical identity to access health care, get prescription medication, or claim insurance benefits? Thieves often retrieve this information from dumpster diving or discarded bills and medical records. Thieves may also access it during our data breaches or hacks of medical offices or hospitals. And the last type of identity theft is tax identity theft. Once thieves have access to your social security number and name, they may file for a tax return using your identity. If you receive a notice from the IRS or your tax preparer about multiple tax return filings, or if there are suspicious details in your IRS records around employment or earnings history, a thief may be committing tax fraud, so contact the IRS. Earlier, we discussed some strategies for spotting a scam, but what can you do to prevent a thief from stealing your information in the first place? So some suggestions are use strong passwords, shred sensitive documents, don't share sensitive information over the phone unless the source has been verified, and don't discard or recycle bills or medical reports. Now that we have learned some great strategies to protect yourself against identity fraud, Kayla is going to discuss some options for protecting yourself. Let me now pass this on to her. Over to you, Kayla.
Thank you, Lonnie. Hello. I will go over some red flags, as she mentioned, to look for that can alert you to an identity theft. Some include unusual charges on credit card or financial accounts, unusual changes in credit report and credit scores, unusual denial of credit card application or services, unusual calls from debitors or collection agencies for debts that you do not owe, unusual bills for services or products that you have not used, denial of services such as utilities, rent, or mortgage, unusual increases in insurance or interest rates, incorrect medical history information, lost bills or mail, IRS reports indicating more than one person has filed a tax return using your Social Security number, or the IRS reports identify wages received from unknown sources. So knowing the signs of identity theft and how it affects you or your loved one can truly set the foundation for taking steps towards protection and prevention. So knowing those signs is really, really important. You can protect your personal information for free by following some basic safety rules. Some of the basic rules include monitoring your credit reports and scores, monitoring your financial statements by reviewing your transactions carefully, practicing online safety, securing your documents, and being aware of your surroundings. If you feel you need to do more than the average safety rules, you can use some more protection. There are commercial monitoring services available. Some of those include credit monitoring, identity monitoring, or you can even freeze your credit by putting a security freeze. Lastly, setting up fraud alerts, which are available through all three bureaus. Protection and prevention are important steps in halting identity thieves. But what can you do if you've already been a victim? There are 3 steps you should take if you are a victim. Step 1 is to collect information. Review your credit report and monitor any changes caused by theft. Review the account where the theft occurred and note any changes. Lastly, review any of the connected accounts. Step 2 is to report to the fraud departments and federal agencies. Report the theft to the fraud department at the organization or company where it happened. Close all of the accounts and change all passwords, PIN numbers, or you can even freeze your credit by putting a security freeze. Lastly, setting up fraud alerts, which are available through all 3 bureaus. Protection and prevention are important steps in halting identity thieves. But what can you do if you've already been a victim? There are 3 steps you should take if you are a victim. Step 1 is to collect information. Review your credit report and monitor any changes caused by theft. Review the account where the theft occurred and note any changes. Lastly, review any of the connected accounts. Step 2 is to report to the fraud departments and federal agencies. Report the theft to the fraud department at the organization or company where it happened. Close all of the accounts and change all passwords, PIN numbers, and access data to prevent the breach from reoccurring. report the theft to the 3 nationwide credit reporting bureaus, and request a fraud alert. Finally, create a report with the local police. The last step if you become a victim of identity theft, step number 3, unfortunately, is to repair the damage. Review new accounts created by the thief, and close them down. Review and correct statements and charges on your bills, credit reports, and other financial documents. Lastly, make a plan of action for monitoring your accounts or get a paid monitoring service like I mentioned before. The Federal Trade Commission website, which is www.identitytheft.gov, offers free personalized recovery plans based on your unique experience. Identity theft is a crime, and under federal law, you are entitled to certain protections. The last part I'll leave you with is a list of consumer protection laws. According to the Federal Trade Commission, or also known as the FTC, every consumer who has been affected by identity theft has a set of rights that include these: the right to file an identity theft report with the FTC, the right to place a 90-day fraud alert, the right to get free copies of their credit report, the right to get incorrect information removed from their credit report, and the right to stop collection agencies from harassment. That concludes it for me. I hope that there was helpful information shared for you on the past couple of slides. I'll turn it over now back to Jacob to conclude our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kayla, and thank you all for allowing us to present for you today. We hope that you found this information useful and valuable. At this time, we're going to answer some questions that you have for us. And the first question of the day is, how can I check if my identity has been stolen? Well, we can't check here at One West Bank. However, there are companies, for example, like the 3 credit bureaus, LifeLock, and other third-party companies who can assist with your options. You can access your credit report at annualcreditreport.com. You are entitled to 1 free credit report from each of the 3 credit bureaus a year. There are also credit monitoring services that can keep a close watch on your credit and send you updates and alerts if there are any credit changes or recent activity. You can also use a credit freeze or a security freeze. This typically prevents anyone from accessing your credit, such as opening a new account, until you authorize its release. The second question of the day is, does the police have to get involved in reporting my identity being stolen? It's always a good best practice to file a report should you feel your identity is being compromised or stolen. Here are some great steps to take. The first step is to collect the information. Review your credit report and monitor any changes caused by the theft. Review the account where the theft occurred and note any changes. You're also going to want to review any other and connected accounts. Step 2, report the fraud departments and federal agencies. So you're going to want to report them to them. Report the theft to the fraud department at the organization or company where it occurred. Close all accounts and change all passwords, such as your PINs, and access data to prevent the breach from reoccurring. Report the theft to the 3 nationwide credit reporting bureaus and request a fraud alert.
Wow, what a great presentation. I definitely learned a lot about identity theft. Yep. Identity theft is such a hot topic, and it's very important that we understand, the resources out there. Just like they were sharing, great presentation. Huge shout out to CIT One West Bank for breaking it down for us. Thank you guys so much. It was a great presentation. And if you thought it was great too, share this video with your friends and family, and give us a like, give us a follow here on Facebook. And if you don't like to use Facebook as much, we have other social media platforms as well. We have these presentations and all our presentations all on our YouTube channel. You can find us at Avance Latino right there. You can find us on TikTok right there if you want to see some personal finance tips. On Instagram if you want to check out what we've been posting, what we've been doing. And you can check us out on Twitter, whatever platform, and LinkedIn as well. Be sure to follow us, like, share, etc. We appreciate all you guys' support. Again, my name is Josh Incon. I am the program director here at Avance Latino, and we'll see you guys in the next workshop.